We're getting closer to the home stretch of the FPL season. In this video, I'm going to look at my own team, and I've categorized it into 4 different buckets, who are the essential players, a category all of their own, nice to have, and punts. And we're going to see who I'm going to be considering as I look into Gameweek27 and beyond. Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Femi. Let's jump into it. Okay, so the Premier League race is a 2-horse race between Arsenal and Manchester City. And with 11 game weeks to go, it's really important to start making calls on who you think should be in your team moving forward, as there's going to be so many fixtures to come with the Champions League and Europa League and the other European competitions. Things are going to get ramped up really quickly again. There's double game weeks potentially to come as well. So what I wanted to do in this video is give you the tools to look at your team and analyze who are my essential players, who are my players that are in a category all of their own, who are the nice to have players, and who are the punts I should be considering now and up until potentially the end of the season, but even till blank game week 31. As you guys know, I'm planning on bench boosting in game week 30 as of right now. So I want to take a look at these next couple game weeks because I think these fixtures are great for a lot of teams. And so with that said, let's dive into who I think our essential players are in our squads right now. So our essential players. Essential to me means players you just are going to buy and hold and not transfer them out to the rest of the season. And for me and our teams right now, I think there's 4 of them. There's 2 on Arsenal, the best team in the league, competing against Manchester City, the team that wants to get their crown. So the 2 essential players on Arsenal are Gabriel and Rice. And the reason why I'm thinking of them as essential is these players are the best in their positions. They are in a title race, so obviously their performances are going to need to be spot on, and they just have so many routes to points. So when we look at the Arsenal duo, let's start off with Declan Rice. We know he's on set pieces. We know he plays 90 minutes. We know he can get DEFCON. You know, he's just a great all-arounder. He's still under 8 million, and I think a lot of people are thinking of potentially going Rice to this other player on City, who I think is essential. But at the end of the day, he's such a strong fit for everything that Arsenal is doing. He needs to be in your team moving forward. And then now when we talk about Gabriel, I've talked a lot on this channel on how he's the best defender in the game. And even now he's providing the best value as a player with the highest points per game average in the game. So that one, ticks off all the boxes as well. And then when we look at Man City, yes, that player that some people are thinking of doing, the transfer from Rice to is Semenyo. Semenyo, he had a 14-pointer in game week 26, and ultimately, he's just an amazing player, right? And the way with how City is playing him, they're playing him essentially as like in a 2-striker formation up top. So he's oftentimes a little bit more even advanced than Erling Haaland. I was watching the game against Fulham in game week 26, and I saw a lot of plays where Haaland was sort of in that, number 10 spot on the field, and Semenyo was ahead of him. Don't overthink it. Just get him in, because I still think the fixtures are good up until blank game week 31 for him. And he is providing the 90 minutes that a lot of people thought the Pep Roulette would take away from him. He's completely nailed. So that's a good thing. And then finally, it's Erling Haaland. Essential players you don't have to talk too much about. Haaland, he's starting to get his goal-scoring boots on. I had seen in the Liverpool game, he was giving the pep talk to all the players. He looks determined. He looks ready to, hone in on this run and chase down Arsenal. So he definitely is an essential. So those are your 4 players you should have, and, stick into your teams and keep in your teams. And then now let's take a look at the players in a category all of their own. So these players in a category all of their own, they share the same celebration, and they are Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers. We don't know who came out with it first. Morgan Rogers says he did, but we do know that Cole Palmer patented the ice cold celebration. So whatever case, I'm sure they're, good friends and they have a lot of fun with it when they score goals. And that's why they're here, because these are the players who can get those 15 pointers. Cole Palmer, he's always had that in his repertoire, the hat tricks, the 4-goal game last season. He can always do it. And the only worry for him, and these are the reasons why these guys are in a category of their own, they have the huge haul potential. But it's unknown timing. We don't know when the timing is. We know Cole Palmer has been hurt most of the season. And the question that I have for both of them is, will they run out of steam? We know Cole Palmer has this injury that he's nursing. Does he need surgery? Does he not? How will he be playing 90 minutes? It's a big question mark. And then for Morgan Rogers, he's a player I had in game week 10, and I just recently got rid of him on the wild card. And, we just don't know when the the hauls are coming, right? He'll have the, 1-2 pointers. He tends to pick up the yellow cards here and there, but when the hauls do come, they're usually a 15 pointer and, the max bonus points. So these are players that I would say monitor, see if you can fit them into your squad. We know you can fit Rodgers in quite easily. You could do the Rice to Rodgers move as well. The 7 million spot is very accessible. For Cole Palmer at over 10.5 or so, it's a little bit more difficult, right? So you have to really consider if you really want to take the risk. So that's why they're in this category of their own. You're not really sure, and you're not sure when the consistency of points is going to come. Although with Palmer, it looks like he's starting to produce on a consistent basis. We'll see, because as we'll look into later, the fixture run for Chelsea does get a little bit more difficult. And then now let's take a look quickly at our nice to have category of players. So our nice to have players, you may have some of these players already, and they do have really great upside, but the question is, can they be trusted? So let's start with Florian Wirtz. He's had double-digit returns. He's looking really good. The partnership with Ekitike. The thing is Liverpool as a squad, they're sort of hot and cold. They just beat Fulham in game week 26, 1-0. Sunderland in game week 26, 1-0, and they did really well. They dominated possession. They could have, walked away with more there. Wirtz hit the post, but I'm just not sure. Maybe there's, for me, a little bit too inconsistent, and they're not hitting the 2+ goals a game as much as I'd like. They did have a good FA Cup win on the weekend here, but ultimately, he's going to be such a popular pick because he is someone we can all sort of get to, Wirtz. But it's just, I don't know when to pull the trigger, right? They're away to Forest now with a new manager. I don't think it's the right entry point, but then they do play West Ham at home, maybe, but West Ham is fighting for their life. So that's why, for these group of players, it's nice to have, but I'm just not sure. And then we have O'Reilly. So O'Reilly was looking really good, playing more advanced, and had the goal from Semenyo in game week 26 with a nice deft finish, the nice dink ball over the keeper. He looks really solid. The issue for him is the rotation risk. City is still in the Champions League. Will he be playing Champions League minutes and less in the Premier League? I don't know how they're going to manage it. He's obviously, already played a career high minutes as he's come out and had his breakthrough season. Will he run out of steam? I'm not sure. But for those that have him, if you didn't play him in this week for whatever reason, you're a little bit unlucky, because he looked really, really good and he looked sharp. So maybe he getting a little bit of a breather during the season has allowed him to be a little bit more sharp now for O'Reilly. And then the final guy is Bruno Fernandes. So I know there's so many people who love Bruno. He has so many routes to points. He is a premium asset, and that's the only thing, right? So at his price point, one return is sort of not enough. You're expecting two. And that's been my only challenge with Man United is, are they going to consistently, similar to Liverpool, score 2+ goals a game against teams? Because if they don't, yes, Bruno can be a good asset because he'll get close to, double digits as he did. He had the 1 goal in the, game before last at home to Tottenham, and he got the 10-pointer. But, the consistency is just something like, will they keep going and scoring? So I'm not sure. So those are the nice to have category. And finally, the most exciting category are the punts. It's been so hard to get a green arrow, and ultimately these are the players that you're going to be looking to do that for you in the punt section. So I already had a video on the first player in Ryan, and you guys can check that out. I think he's a great option. 5.5. Bournemouth have strong fixtures, especially when I'm looking at bench boosts in game week 30, and he looks pretty secure. I don't know who they play over him, given he's producing. And so that's one to look at. And then we get to this great category of the Brentford boys. You have Dango Ouattara, who everyone's talking about. But I'm not forgetting about Lewis Potter, who's a defender playing out of position and leads the defense from a Brentford perspective with 3 goals. So he's interesting. He just scored in game week 26 against Arsenal, of course. Sade, who's going to come back. Sade, right, who has missed these last games because of the red card. He's going to have the legs in his minutes to really go after it as we get to the stretch run. So that could be an interesting pick. He's a lot more pricier than Ouattara, but maybe he's that, differential that no one's really thinking about right now. And then finally, it's Kelleher. I didn't really rate him that much. He did well at Liverpool whenever he's called upon, but at Brentford, he seems a little bit dodgy, but he's not dodging anything. He's actually scoring so many points from a goalie perspective, and he's cheap. So he's someone to consider as well. So those are all the Brentford assets, and those are the guys I'm going to be considering. As I only have Thiago, I probably should load up maybe on 2 more of those players. And then the last player, it's Strand Larsen. He had the 2 goals against Burnley. For a guy that, I actually went with this season, early on in the season, he didn't produce for me, but now he's looking really good, back to his best in a new team, and they're going to be feeding him and trying to find him. So that's also attractive. And then the price point, just over 6 million, really great price point. He's definitely looking like someone I want to bring in for my 3rd forward spot, as I currently have Mane, who was, a double game week punt, but ultimately he'll be coming out of the team shortly. So that's how the team, looks in these categories. Let me know what you think about the categories. But now let's take a look at my team, and I'll just go through how I've categorized my players and who I'm considering as we look forward to Gameweek27. Okay, so here's the squad and how it looks. So as you can see, I have my essential players. I have all of these guys, Gabriel Rice, Semenyo, and Haaland, and even Thiago, who's quite essential. So the big changes are going to come from a defensive standpoint in Chalobah and the Chelsea assets. Chelsea assets needs to come out. The fixture run is over. If we take a look at the fixtures here, the fixture run is over. So they're going to play Arsenal. They're going to play Villa away, Newcastle at home, Everton away, and City at home. So that's up until game week 32. None of those players are going to be in my squad moving forward. So that's why I'm sort of muted on Chelsea. And so ultimately, when we go back and to look at the transfers and what I'm thinking of doing, if I take my Chelsea assets out, it frees me money. Martinelli does come out as well. And we have the option, Saka's back, which is interesting. I am a big Saka fan. And then Madueke also, he scored in game week 26. So I can also get my 3rd Arsenal there. I don't trust Timber at the back, so I'm not going to be going for Timber as my 3rd Arsenal, as I've mentioned a lot on this channel. And so ultimately, I have all those free spots. So then you take out Mane. So first thing you can do, one of the easiest things is to put in Strand Larsen. So I'll have Strand Larsen in. And when we look at his fixtures, still 2 great fixtures, Wolves at home in 27 and then Leeds at home in 30. So a Leeds team that plays very wide open, you can have Strand Larsen in your squad, and that would be a great bench boot option with Munoz as well, who would play obviously Leeds on game week 30 for me. And then, defender-wise, let's take a look at who are the top defenders, because ultimately you could go and try and get, another City defender easily at 5.2. Gay, I feel like he's just due for the big moments. He scored in the FA Cup as well. So Gay could come in and you could do triple City. Obviously, the worry there is game week 32, where you'll have to make some changes. I already do have 3 transfers. So the transfers from my perspective won't be a big challenge, and managing that after game week, blank game week 31. And so you could go Virgil. Ultimately, I don't really have, there's not a lot of defenders I like other than, imagine if I did my punt and then you get Lewis Potter in. And if Lewis Potter is still playing when Sade comes back, he has Wolves in game week 30. And then he also plays in the blank game week 31, Leeds away. So those are 2 great fixtures for, like I mentioned, the top scoring defender in Brentford. So Lewis Potter can come in. And then now I have about 15 million in cash. So, I can go back and, get a Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, the only thing with him is if I'm doing my bench boost 30 strategy, his fixture is against Man United away, which isn't the greatest. But then in 31, he has, West Ham at home. So it could be something that, obviously I can't really get him now because I'm sort of saving transfers. I could. Leeds at home is not a bad fixture. Wolves away, it may be something to consider. But I do like my team right now as it looks. And we'll get into that video later this week, how my team is lining up. So I'm not really looking at that now. But then, you could get Morgan Rogers in, right that wrong. And then you have 7.7 million. And then I can easily go and get, one of my punts, like a Ryan. And then when you look at his fixtures, he has Burnley away in game week 30. So amazing bench boost option if he's still playing. So that's how the team could look. And, now I have 2.2 million because ultimately all this money I got out from Saka originally. So 2.2 million, Dubravka, Royce in the goal, Gabriel, Lewis Potter, Munoz, Ballard, and Diouf. The bench boost game week 30 is looking amazing. Rogers, Rice, Semenyo, Ryan, and Bruno Fernandes, who has that home fixture in game week 30 against Villa. And then Thiago, Haaland, and Strand Larson. So that team's quite formidable. If you like this video, please like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.